Now, actually, there's been very little work in Bernie Sanders' life because he's never held a job in the private sector. Bernie Sanders has worked for the government since 1981. And even before that, he was kind of bumbling around, occasionally holding a job here or there. He was mostly a professional activist. This guy, as much as one can in life make it without ever holding a job, Bernie Sanders has never held a job. So there isn't very much work to his life. And by the way, he's worked most of his life in the government. I actually don't even attack that per se. Look, plenty of people have done plenty of good work in the government. Winston Churchill spent most of his life working for the government, and he did a lot of good work. The trouble is that Bernie Sanders has not only not accomplished anything in the private sector, he has also not accomplished anything in the public sector. He has never accomplished anything. He has been in the government since 1981. He's almost been in the government now for 40 years. What does he have to show for it? The closest thing that he can list as an accomplishment in 40 years of government service is that he voted to end some of our support for the Saudi Arabian war in Yemen, which, by the way, didn't work. So the thing he's referring to, you probably never even heard of this story because it's a nothing story. Bernie Sanders voted to invoke the War Powers Act of 1973 to cut off the ability of the White House to give military aid to Saudi Arabia for their war in Yemen. Then the House didn't vote on that, and then it went nowhere. That's it. That's his biggest accomplishment. He voted based on a law that was passed in 1973 in the Senate to tell the White House to stop giving extra money to the Saudis for the Saudis to take care of a conflict they have in Yemen, and then the House didn't vote for it and it went nowhere. The biggest accomplishment in his public life. Otherwise, what else does this tell us? It checks all of the boxes. Obviously, he harps on climate change or global warming or global cooling or whatever euphemism you want to use for it. This is essential. This is going to separate the wheat from the chaff in the Democrat primary. It is not possible to run for president as a Democrat in 2020 without centering your campaign on climate change. This is for a couple of reasons. One, it's the left's religion. It fulfills all the categories of religion. It answers some of their religious longings to save the planet, for original sin, for penance, for indulgences. It's for transcendent reality. That is what the purpose of global warming is in the left-wing psychology. But in the left-wing politics and the actual implementing of a political agenda, the reasons global warming or climate change is central is because it very conveniently gives the left everything they've always wanted in politics. Collectivist economics, nationalization of various industries, massive expansion of the federal government, massive diminishment of individuals' rights in America, a basic overturning of our political tradition and our democratic republic, a far greater expansion of government power and bureaucratic power over the rights of state governments, local governments, and individuals and the family. This is what they want, so that's what he's going to focus on. Okay, that's fine. It's the evidence, by the way, that the Democrat Party is not focusing on any substantive issues in 2020. They're not talking about the economy. They're not talking about foreign policy. They're not talking about entitlement spending or the national debt or even trade. They're talking about the fantasy of the sun monster coming in and destroying the whole world unless we vote for them, and then we'll save the world. So they're going to center this campaign around fantasy, and it's going to produce terrific results. I cannot wait for that debate stage where they're all arguing with one another over whatever fever dream they had the night before about the end of the world, and it's going to happen in 10 years. No, it'll happen in 8 years. No, it'll happen tomorrow, and then it'll happen tomorrow. We'll all wait for the world to end, and it won't end.